This video is all about how to get the nose to stick out from the face when we are carving on a round piece of wood such as this. This is just a piece of firewood, and what we want to do is we want to have the profile look a little bit like this, with this nice kind of angle there, and the face kind of falls away from it as well. So back here we are just putting in the nose, kind of the dimensions, just to give us a rough kind of idea where it's going to sit. And really what it's all about is removing a lot of wood, but it's always good to put your kind of whereabouts things are going to sit on the carving before you start. So how I approach kind of doing the nose is on a round piece of wood, but also actually on a square piece of wood as well, carving on the corner, is I will go in first at the bridge of the nose and I'll take that back a long way, and then I'm going to work up that kind of angle of the nose. Okay, so once we've got that bridge line kind of cut in, I might go deeper with that. I'm not saying I'm not going to. I'll put two lines down sort of on the outside of the nose, and I want to make this quite big as well. Going to be bigger than the nose is fine going to be. And once we've sort of like got a good kind of trench going down there, what I want to do is I want to take out those two kind of side parts. Now I'm not worrying about the sort of shape of the cheeks or anything at this stage. All I'm trying to do is get that nose to kind of like, so I can see the profile. So when I start putting in the angle from the side, I will be able to see the profile because the cheeks have been taken down, and the cheeks at the moment, they're just going to be flat. And once we've flattened off those parts either side of the nose, I'll just put in kind of round about where the bottom of the nose is going to be. This is kind of pretty rough. I'm not going very deep here as well, so we've just got that to go to. And the next part of the carving is getting that angle on that nose. So we start up at the bridge and we try and work our way to the tip of the nose, giving a angle. Now if it seems quite shallow, just go back further on the bridge of the nose and just keep on getting it to sort of form the angle that you want on your nose. I always try and make it as, well, not steep as possible, but as close as kind of like it would to like a human nose. I think it looks a lot better when you get a good angle on your nose as opposed to it being flat. Kind of look a little bit like a rugby player when it's flat there, or a boxer. See, that's way off, and you can sort of see I probably need to go back in the bridge a little bit there because the angle is just not going to work out. So I'm just trying to get that to go further back in there. And as I'm doing it, I'm sort of thinking to myself as I look at the profile, do I need to go back further on that bridge of the nose? It's a sort of like a constant kind of toing and froing. I need to go further back so I can get that angle steeper. So once I'm kind of happy with the angle, now I'm going to go for just drawing in the nose a little bit more refined, and to get that sorted out, got a bit of a chip there missing on that bottom right nostril, but I think that'll work out anyway. We've got to now take back the forehead. You kind of think this isn't carving the nose. It kind of is, because you've got to have the forehead in the right place to make the nose look alright, vice versa, and all of those things. So when we're carving the nose, a lot of what makes it stick out is what's happening around the nose. And so we've got to think about that. It's not just about the angle, it's about the other things that are interacting with it, like the eyes, the cheeks, the moustache under the nose. And what we're doing here is we're just carving that forehead back. And whenever I'm carving a face like this, I'm putting it in general shapes. I'm putting in the forehead kind of where it's going to sit, but I'm not going to worry too much about the details of it. It's just so I can get kind of a reference on the forehead to the nose. So now we are putting in the eyes. Well, we're going to put in, well, a sort of description of the general kind of eye shape, I should say. But putting in the eyes as we go further back, it makes the bridge of the nose kind of stand out a little bit more as well. But we're just putting in where I think the eyes are going to go, and I'll probably just do real simple eyes for this one. And I really like to use sphere burrs when I'm sort of putting in the gap underneath the eyebrow. Just to, it's kind of quite nice to use that because it doesn't have a point on it, so you can use it on both sides, and what's touching both sides is generally the same. Whereas if you're using a flame burr and you go over to the left eye now, you're going to have a different kind of, it's harder to get at and harder to make the same. So I'm just sort of making what would be sort of like an eye mound, but I'm not going to do a proper eye there. But it's quite a nice kind of like flowing line under the eye. Even if you're not going to put an eye in, do that kind of flowing bit under the eye, and that will give you a nice shape to the cheek. Now I'm going to use a fine taper burr just to get a little bit of depth underneath that eyebrow, so it casts that kind of shadow there as well. Okay, so where are we up to? Well, I've taken a little bit off the mustache, just a little bit further back. I'm going to sort of start working on a few things now. I might sort of like chop and change, kind of move around, because you're just always constantly, when you're carving, not just working on one thing. But you can sort of see me there. I'm just starting to put in the nostril there, just to give me an idea where it's going to sit. And a nostril, kind of like, don't force it. It's just sort of like pencil it in with maybe the taper burr to start off with, and then work on things around it, and it kind of tends to form itself in a kind of intuitive way, I guess you would say. So when we're trying to make the nose really stick off, it's about sort of like where the cheeks kind of sit as well. So sometimes you have to take the cheeks further back, especially like on a round log. Your cheeks aren't going to fall back where they should be, so you have to actually really force the cheek back. You can sort of see me there. I'm just still working on the nostril, just trying to get a little bit of depth into that corner bit there. And always try and give the tip of the nose a little bit of a round kind of aspect to it. I personally, when I do my own carvings, I keep the nose flat on the bottom. I don't sort of angle it up, because what I like to do is I'll try and make the nostril and then angle it up a little bit just to see where I can do it. Whereas if you angle it up at the start, you tend to end up with a pointy nose as well, because you've just taking a nose down into a point really, and so you can't get that round bit. Well, you could, but then you'd make your nose shorter, if you get what I mean. Okay, so that's the side profile at the moment. It's still looking a little bit flat compared to what it does look like when it's finished. Working on the nose again with a fine sphere burr from Kutzall. It's quite a nice shape to work with. It's just really good for shaping things in a general kind of manner. Like I was saying before, when we're looking at the cheeks in relation to the nose, you want it quite, well, not a long way back, but you can sort of see there, and if I put it in a line there, you can sort of see how the cheek sits in profile with the nose. And you kind of like, it is hard to get that when you're dealing with a round piece of wood, because you really have to take those cheeks quite a long way back, and this is what makes the nose stick out. So you can sort of see that line there, and that's the kind of line you're going for in relation to the cheek and the nose. But yeah, it really makes the nose stick out if you have the cheeks brought back and fading kind of back into the head and not sort of flat across the face. And I'm using the Kutzall rotor saw there just because it takes off quite a lot of wood. It is harder to use than the flame burr, but I'm sort of just shaping the cheeks there. And you can sort of see I've gone on the side of the face quite a long way back. So it's not sitting flat on the piece of wood. There's a real kind of roundness to the face, and trying to get away from that flat face. Keep on saying that, don't I? The key is to try and make it fall back into the piece of wood. And now we're going back to the nostril, and I'm just putting some depth into that kind of nostril part there, and where it joins sort of that top part of the moustache. And that point there is a point that you can make quite deep on a wood spirit. Now it's not probably, well, it is quite deep on a human face, but not as deep as what you would do on a wood spirit. I just find like if you go really deep there, it kind of works out a little bit better. We're not going for like real good proportions compared to a human face. These are just wood spirits, and they kind of have to do their own thing, I guess, and just look kind of natural. You can sort of see on the nose, I've gone sort of like tapered it down into a kind of a round part there. Now I'm concentrating on that nostril, just the upper part of it. So I left it flat on the bottom, and now I'm sort of like curving it up a little bit. And I just had the wood there to be able to do that, whereas if I'd angled it up at the start, it might not be quite in the right place that I wanted it to be. And yeah, so just concentrating on the bottom of the nose there. I might leave the left hand side of the nose and just show you the right hand side. It's taken quite a while. This wood spirit is actually really hard wood, this stuff. I should have actually took my time and chose some softer wood. Would be nice if had a lot of cedar here in New Zealand, but we don't. It's you gotta use what's around you, and so this is kind of showing you that you can do it in quite hard wood spirits. You don't always have to have cedar or the softer woods. It just takes a little bit longer. Now I've gone back to shaping the cheeks again, and I'm using what is that one? It's a very coarse Kutzall sphere. It takes a little bit of work trying to decide how thin you want to go on the cheeks, and it's a work in progress. Cheeks are quite hard to sort of try and get a kind of specific kind of shape to them. Yeah, I'm not going to finish this wood spirit today, but I thought I'd add a few little tiny details in it on the mustache and the eyebrows. I always like going quite horizontal on the eyebrows with really thin lines. I know some people just do kind of like straight up lines. I kind of like it looking a little bit like that. And pretty much that's it. And you can sort of see from the final one how that nose really sticks out and what it kind of looks like now compared to when we first started, when it was quite flat, but how we took back things like the cheeks and underneath the nose and the eyes and the forehead. Everything kind of works together to make that nose look really good and stick out from the face. So good luck with carving noses, and we will carry on with this carving in another video. Okay, we'll see you in the next one. Bye everybody.